So I have my knee pads, so I'm not kneeling on the concrete. This is an old compound miter rigid machine that old. I think I bought it in 98 or 99. I have cut miles and miles of trim with this. It's not your super fancy laser guided compound slider, although it'd be nice to have one of those $600-700 machines. Believe me, I've been looking at it, but I can't seem to kill this one. And as long as it cuts straight and true and it earns me money, well, I can't quite retire it out to pasture yet. And I do like working on the ground. A lot of guys like working on stands with rollers, but when you've got 18-foot pieces of trim that are, I don't know if that'll light balance anyway. The trim that I'm working on today is long, 18 feet long, and it's about as firm as a limp noodle. It's hard to work on a portable aspect like this, so I just put everything on the ground and it works fine. But let me show you a trick. Here's my trick for the day. So if you're not all fancy pants like me, and you don't have one of them fancy pants expensive compound sliders, or even a laser guide. Yeah, I know I should have a guard on here, and I was cutting some hardwood and it caught a knot about a year ago, and it just blew that plastic guard apart. And I've been saying I'm going to get a new one, but you know, it just doesn't happen. But anyway, so if you're not familiar with the machine and where the blade falls, and you don't have a fancy pants laser to let you know where that is, this is the way I do it. I get a piece of blue painter's tape, and you can see I've already done this several times in the past. So I'll run a piece of tape over the opening like this. Beginning of each job, and actually I forgot to do it for this one. I was already made a couple cuts and then realized I hadn't done this, and I figured I'd show you guys a little secret here. Secret. So don't tell anybody. You put your blue tape on just like that, and then you drop your blade. Now I've got a real defined edge. I know exactly where my blade falls. And when I put a piece of trim on there and I want to know right where it's going to cut to, look at that. I'll know exactly where it is. I don't need no stinking lasers. Alright, let's go inside and see what I got going on in there. So here's how the kitchen entryway, or the kitchen opening, I won't even call it a doorway, played out. I went ahead and picked a flat stock that I wouldn't have to trim. And it came out, I've got a 1/4 inch setback from the wood here. This is a finger jointed pine. This is pine. I'm not a big fan of MDF. MDF is too easily affected by moisture. Brought it up and around, 1/4 setback. I haven't caulked anything yet. It's consistent with the house. I don't know if you can see the front door's got smooth trim. The wall trim is all smooth, so I didn't want to get too fancy and have it be completely out of character for the house. Not that this kitchen is already completely out of character for the house, but I wanted the trim to be consistent. Here's a little tip. I left a 1/16 of an inch here. This is natural real wood, grained wood, so it's going to move, expand and contract, because that's just what wood does. This is pine, and this is not going to move. So you don't really want to run your solid wood stock directly to an immovable surface like that, especially in a kitchen where this thing is 1.5 feet away from a stove where you could be cooking and making steam. This thing will swell and pop. So 1/16 of an inch should be plenty, and then I will caulk this to keep stuff. I'll run some white caulking in there so it'll look fine, but the caulking is flexible. Anyhow, that's a good tip right there, I think. I think it's a good tip. And then the same trim went in the dining room. Not too fancy. It's a 3-rib, standard 3-rib trim. I always double nail them. This is 1.75 inches, so that'll be plenty into the tubifer. And these are 1-inch brads that go into this casing. Keep everything pinned in, and then I will caulk and sand. I had to get my Bosch. Had to get my Bosch out, trim back the baseboard, and then I haven't really been able to find the right trim over the top here, so I'm just going to make some today. That's only about 1 foot. The old stuff came out in pieces. I tried to get it out in one piece and get this section to fall into here, but this split really bad. It's old dry wood, so I'll just make new new baseboard for that. So let's keep on keeping on. So it's sometime later in the afternoon. I don't know where I'm at. Door's trimmed out. I'm going to replace this door now. I'm actually using... Good golly, my friggin' phone. It must know when I'm pressing the play button on this stupid... Oh, where was I? Oh, yeah. This door, to keep the doors consistent through the house, I'm actually going to use this door that was in here, which is a nice clean interior door, is going to go into this hole. They are both 28-inch doors, so that was kind of cool. And that way we could retain the 3-panel shaker look, which is consistent throughout the house. I know it's not super high-end fancy, but at least everything will match. And because that's a solid wood door and a solid wood casing, 5/8 rock on the back side, 1/2 inch rock on the inside, it's still considered a fire door, acceptable fire door. So I don't have to do anything to that. I'm just going to drop it in, put a new doorknob on. And where am I? Oh, the window. Window. This is how I trimmed this window out. And let me let you in on a little bit on how my brain works or doesn't work. There's a couple different ways you can trim out a window. A traditional way to trim a window out is where you put a piece of stool here, which acts as your window sill, and then the sill, the standard sill sticks out from the wall 1.5 inches or 2, and then it wraps around here, and then you run your casement molding around. But what I ended up doing, and this style here is called picture molding or picture frame molding, because it's like a picture frame, right? My thinking was, we went through all the trouble to make this little triangular shelf here. I couldn't in my brain figure out how to make a nice windowsill or stool that wouldn't totally just look dumb with this 90. So I did the picture frame mold around there, and then the backsplash can go right against that trim work there. So that's not too bad. We went with the double holes, one for the faucet, one for the air gap for the dishwasher. Yeah. So I'm gonna swap this door out and cough up a little lung butter. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a voiceover on this final part. When I was cleaning up, it was late. It was after 6. I just got back from Project Dungeon, and the homeowner's watching The Rifleman, and she's got it turned up kind of loud. And well, I don't want that on the background. So here's how the caulking came out. The door went in pretty easy. It was the same size door, so I don't have to do a lot of fitting to fit it in there. Just mess with the hinges a little bit. And then I was going to show you how I caulk, my caulking technique, but I just can't imagine that would be interesting to too many people. But here's a pretty decent caulk. Runs about $2.25 a tube. It's a 35-year DAP acrylic latex caulk plus silicone. Keep your hands wet. I was to keep a towel in one hand and the caulking gun in the other. Nice wet fingers make nice even caulk lines on your seams. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Do some backsplash.